prosecution outlined how accounting practices of comedy functions did not.
What kind of likeness is that?
If they were great artists, they'll be in a museum.
Evidence today may signal at least one.
I'm fucking fodder for cartoonists now.
Time again for your bi-weekly dose of Gutter Boys. Gutter Boys is a small press comics podcast about the ins, the outs, the highs, and the very deep, endless lows of making comics. I'm your host, JB, with my co-host, Cam. On this episode 80, we are joined with Michigan-based cartoonist Derek Marks.
Derek is the author of Nights and Weekends, Grace, Jerry, Jessica, and Me, which was just collected in the recent self-published book, Legendary Spirits, and as well as Fabulous Topless Woman, just to name a few things that he's done. We get into it with him and talk about his work and, his recent appearance at TCAF. Pretty fun little interview.
Yes. Let's see. We do have some news and shout outs, so I guess let's just get right into it, right? I mean, what else are we?
Let's get this shit over with. Real quick, I feel like we haven't actually been talking too much about comics that much in the intros lately. Just some books that I read lately that I think that are really cool. Finally got around to reading Antoine Casset's Metax. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's Metax. Fantastic work. I gotta say, I didn't enjoy it as much as I do the breakdown press stuff, but it's not, a bad book by any means. I like the storytelling and everything in it, and he's one of my favorite cartoonists working. Definitely pick that shit up, though. I just wanted to say that real quick.
I have not been reading any comics.
Yeah.
I reread Heart of a Dog by Mikhail Bulgakov.
Yeah, that's that shit you got when you were here, right?
Yes. It's a good book. It's nice. Short, it's not like one of those mega thick books from a lot of other Russian writers of that era. So that's nice. But yeah, I always like returning to that book every couple of years. Real quick, let's do some news. Not a lot to cover.
Yeah.
But this is, we both feel very pertinent to the comics world, or at least, what most people know as the comics world, and that's Substack.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you see recently in an article that came across your desk?
Yeah, so Bloomberg had an article that was called Newsletter Startup Substack Cuts 14% of Staff as Downturn Looms. Pretty much, they said here, newsletter platform Substack cut 13 jobs on Wednesday, citing a gloomy economic outlook. The jobs represent 14% of the startup's workforce, according to a company spokeswoman. Substack's digital platforms allows writers to publish free or paid newsletters, and the San Francisco-based startup collects a roughly 10% cut of the paid subscriptions. So, yeah, this was bound to happen. The best part is at the end, they talked to Substack CEO Chris Best, and he said that he and his two co-founders chose to eliminate the positions in order to make Substack less reliant on additional fundraising in the future, especially as a market downturn has sent technology stocks diving in recent months. And he said, in recent weeks, the macroeconomic outlook has become increasingly uncertain, making it clear that we should be prepared for a period of challenging conditions that could last for years. But he also said he was very sorry for going back on his word to employees. Not so long ago, I told you all that our plan was to grow the team and not to do layoffs.
Damn.
So, yeah, I bet they feel real fucking stupid now, giving people like Donnie Cates and James Tire Iron like exclusive fucking deals, like locking them down.
Really? I mean, like they're back on Twitter.
Right. Yeah, if you guys want some comedy, Donnie has a video up where he's wearing eyeliner and he's like cosplaying the blonde dude from The Lost Boys, the vampire guy, it looks like. But it's really peak like midlife crisis shit. It rocks.
But it's like, it's a specific place, right? Like it's not just any location.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Is like something about Star Wars or some shit?
I think it's something from like the prequel movies or something.
Yeah. Fuck Donny Cates. But yeah, so his ass is already back on Twitter because he can't resist being dunked on. And because he's a pain pig. And also because, actually there was a dude, that DC writer, Tom Taylor. He got some like negative feedback on one of his comics. And he like posted on Twitter. He was like leaving Twitter. And he screenshotted like the Apple screen where it says, "You are deleting Twitter and all its content." So like he screenshot that he was gonna delete it and then tweeted that he deleted it with the so it's like he either had to reinstall the app or he just never deleted it. It's like, you guys have fucking terminal like comics writer brain. Like
yeah, it's all performative. It's all performative. It's like, it's like the baby at the birthday party screaming because the cake is not for them. That's all that is.
Yep.
It's like you have to have the mind of a child. But not even like pre-K. Like we're talking like before the skull even fuses properly. Your skull and your brain are basically the same gelatinous soft tissue, and that's kind of where you have to be in terms of like emotional maturity in order to post the way they do.
Yeah, and I mean, just kind of going back to Substack, I give this thing, I'm putting it on Death Watch. R.I.P. Bozo Packwatch. How long did they sell, or how long did they sign these people up for contracts? Gotta be like 2 or 3 years at most.
Oh yeah, they're just hemorrhaging money.
Yeah, so whenever those contracts are up, they're done. Put a fork in them, they're done. You heard it here first. Whenever those contracts are out, they're done. I mean, peace and love to the 13 fallen Substack soldiers that lost their job. You guys collect some unemployment and go to some other tech startup and wash, rinse, repeat. But, Substack's done. I give it, 2 or 3 years at most.
You know how that wouldn't have happened is if they unionized.
Yeah. Speaking of, shout out to 7 Seas Entertainment, the manga company that publishes a lot of not safe for work manga and some other shit. But
they also do the Kamen Rider, right?
Yeah. They do a bunch of like old 80s adaptation shit. But Yeah, their employees finally fucking got through and they unionized. It took them way too fucking long, and the company hired union busting firms and shit.
Of course.
But, they put out a statement, and I'm not going to read it because I think the news is a couple weeks old, but we didn't talk about it here. But I just want to say it fucking rocks, despite the company taking a while to bend the knee, the fucking employees held out, and now they got themselves a little union, so hats off to you.
It's great. Love to see it.
Yep. Pimp of the year shit. Not the company,
Truly.
The union.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I like their stuff. They put out some good reprints. I feel like they're reprinting a lot of stuff that we wouldn't get otherwise in the States, so yeah, good on them. Not the company for doing the anti-union shit. That's fucked. But shout out to the employees who actually run that company.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, so let's get into shout outs.
Yeah.
We got quite a few. So let's start with a letter. How about that? We got a little gift package from Gavin Mackey.
What up, Gavin?
He is the creator of Gooblets, which is, speaking of manga, a very manga-influenced comic, I think.
Yeah, this motherfucker draws them in all kinds of different scenarios, different costumes, different settings on his Instagram. That's mainly the way that I've seen them. He did send over a package, and, definitely, like you said, very manga-influenced, but in a fun way. Yeah,
and there's a little bit of, some French influence there, too. But he sent over, the care package with comics, stickers, I believe a print/postcard. And in the letter, he writes, Dear JB, thank you for receiving my comic. You're welcome, Gavin. I've been loving the pod for a long time, and I've been loving the shirts you've been putting out. Gutter Boys makes me excited to make comics because it shows that there's still a dedicated audience for independent comic artists. The pod also makes me ashamed to be part of such an embarrassing subculture. But oh well. You guys rock. Gooblet's Contact is my first debut comic. I've made many comics before, but this is the first that is fully my vision. It's short, but hopefully a sweet taste of things to come. I've got big plans. If anyone wants to buy a copy, DM me. Keep pimpin', Gav.
And you can find Gavin and DM him for a copy on Instagram at Gavin Flavor. No spaces. Gavin Flavor, like Flavor Town.
Yes. All right. Next on the shout out list, we've got a friend of the show, Cole Pauls, who sent over a nice newspaper comic. So it's printed on newsprint. It folds out like a newspaper. This one has quite a few other contributors, and it is called Salmon Run. I'm going to assume, I could be wrong here, but I'm going to assume that these are all comics made by indigenous creators. Maybe that's not right, but I'm getting the feeling that
I
that's
believe
the case
so,
here.
yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
haven't gotten a chance to read it yet. I kind of just skimmed through it. I do apologize. I will be reading it. I've just been pretty busy around the house lately.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah, 2-color, really nicely printed red, black inks on newsprint. Can't go wrong there.
No, you can't.
But Cole's very prolific, always engaged in his community and constantly pumping out work that also tries to, spread the message of the plight that his community faces, and really kind of fun stuff to follow.
Definitely. Yeah. And, I don't think there's really a whole lot of like indigenous comic creators in the scene. So it's good that they're highlighting that. I feel like most people wouldn't even be able to name one. And I'm talking about people that are actively involved in reading comics. So it's definitely needed. It's weird to me that that's the case, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's so much coming out in comics that have something to do with like indigenous cultures, but like rarely are they ever made by anybody who have that background.
Yeah, for sure. And, if you want to check out Cole's work, you can follow him on Instagram at Tundra Wizard. He does have a new book coming out soon via Conundrum Press. Don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. I do apologize, Cole, if I'm not, but it's called Quander. Kwandur. There are some accent marks there, so I'll probably botch the pronunciation of that, but you can get that from Conundrum Press.
And then real quick, I wanted to shout out some people that gave me some of their work while I was visiting in Chicago. I already touched on this in the Patreon episode, but, not everyone is a patron for some reason. So I got from a friend of the show, past guest, good friend, Matthew Allison, who was nice enough to give me a copy of his newest book, Caan, which is a hardcover self-published book. This thing is fucking beautiful. Holy shit. It's got a nice satin cover with those little gloss hits, those little gloss spots. And this one collects all of his past Caan issues and includes some additional new comics from Caan. I just cannot recommend this book enough. Matt is a machine. He's been pumping out some of my favorite comics over the last 15 years, and it's really cool to finally have a hardcover book collecting all of his recent books. And like I said, this thing is printed very well. The cover is excellent, and I am actually looking forward to sitting down and reading this soon. So
Hell yeah.
Thank you very much. He also gave me a trading card, which I believe was given out to backers of this book. And it's basically a recreation of those old Marvel trading cards, but with a painting of Caan. He hired an artist to do this painting. It's by Peter Scanlon. Mm-hmm. Yes, Peter Scanlon. And this thing rocks. I don't know. If you're not following him, go on Instagram at Cankor with 2 R's, Cankorr.
Yes, sir.
Also, during my trip in Chicago, I got to hang out with Caroline Cash, and she was nice enough to hand me her newest comic, I'm So Punk, a comic about shitty punk boys. It is a collection of her recent work. Caroline is a beast. She's still pumping out amazing work. You can actually pick this up from her directly. Check out her Instagram account, cash_browns. And I believe it's only $6, so quite a steal. So grab one while you can. I don't know if she even has any left, but if she does, pick one up as soon as you can.
Alrighty. What else we got?
We also have from a friend of the show, Kenshi Toll.
Yes.
All the way in Seattle, Washington. He sent over some comics to, he sent us individual packages.
Correct.
I received a couple of issues of the Marvel Masterpieces run. I don't even remember seeing these as a kid, but yeah, all the covers are like these paintings of different Marvel characters, and they rock. If I was a kid and I saw these, yeah, I would have been all over them. So thank you, Kenshi. Now, on top of that, he also mailed us copies of
the Kamen Rider anthology.
Speaking of Seven Seas, right.
Yeah.
He sent over the 50th anniversary edition Kamen Rider manga, the classic manga by Satoru Ishinomori.
Good brick of a book.
This thing, you could beat someone to death with this thing. This is a hefty book. It's going to take a while for me to read, but I'm very, very happy I have it, because for a while I've been trying to track down the original manga because, I'm a big fan of the original Kamen Rider show. And I think the manga that went along with it is really, really cool. So now I can actually read it because it's in English. So that's pretty good. Kenshi, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, and Kenshi sent me over some Nancy and Sluggo comics as well, so thank you so much, dude. That's so appreciated. And check out Arcane Comics if you're ever in the area.
Yeah, great shop. Everybody that works there, great people. Awesome place. So go, if you're in the Seattle area, please support your local shop. Go to Arcane. Great spot. They'll take care of you. Okay, and then lastly, this is not really a shout out. I mean, I guess it is. I got my contributor copies from Jared Cody Wolf for the anthology that he did recently called Winter Special. And this one is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed fan comic zine. It's in full color. It's got our boy Jasper Jubinville on the front and friend of the show Erwin Papa on the back. Filled to the brim, folks, with awesome work. We got Jake Machin, Jonathan McBurney, Enzo Garza, Raymond Salvador, Howie Knoll, Manning Coe, Stan Waney, Gabe Ostley, Josh Bayer and Hyena Hell, Jordan Barry Brown, of course Jared Cody Wolf also, Jan Pisarski, and as mentioned before, Erwin Papa. And then I also have a 4-page mini in here. So thank you to Jared for having me on to contribute, and thank you to everyone that's already ordered it. I've seen it online, popping it up all over my feed. People are buying it and shouting us out, so thank you very much for that. I will be purchasing my own copies to sell on my website soon, relatively. I don't have a firm date yet because Jared's still kind of figuring out the details of that on his end, but once he has that all squared away, I'll be able to sell them online.
I'm just gonna get a copy from you because I sold it out the first time.
Yeah, and I'll right. And feedback on the comic has been great. So yeah, shout out to Brian McKay also, who was nice enough to throw me some kind words about my pages. So
sick.
Yep, well, still not out of the game yet somehow.
Yeah, well, we'll be back in relatively soon with the retreat coming up and stuff. We kind of got to dive back in, and before we get out, we do have to end the episode on a little bit of a down note. In the intro. On a down note, rather. 2 RIPs, former Pimp of the Year, friend of the show, and immortalized in their comics. M.S. Harkness's cat, Duchess, went on to the other side. So RIP Duchess. And also, we lost the man, Tony Sirico, Paulie Walnuts. Devastating. I mean, crazy that we lost Ray Liotta, Sirico, and James Caan. A Godfather,
within a few months,
Soprano, and a good fella.
Yeah, it's truly a huge loss to the Dudes Rock segment of the population.
Yes.
So, shout out to the boys, gone but not forgotten.
Never forgotten. And I don't know if this is true, but I retweeted it, and the tweet has 34,000 likes, so that's enough engagement to be true in my book. But @PrisonPete tweeted out this. Best Tony Sirico story I heard was on The Sopranos. When a character was going to be killed off, everyone would be super apologetic to the actor losing their job at the read-through. Tony would show up like 10 minutes late and make machine gun noises at the person being killed off. So, I hope that's true. Rest in peace to a hard dick warrior, Tony Sirico.
Yes, one of the last few bastions of people that can pull off a wife-beater look. Although that is no longer the accepted term for those. What do they call them now? Undershirts? Just generically, they just refer to them. Domestic
disturbance shirts.
Damn. I think they're just referred to as undershirts. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Back in my day, when I was growing up, we knew them as the wife-beater shirts.
Yeah.
Which I think is a fine legacy to leave to the Italian American community. Damn. Whoever came up with that term, wow. Good on you, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we will be joined with cartoonist Derek Marks, so stick around.
We'll be right back.
Athenium Comic Art is an original art website for some of the best cartoonists in the business. They currently represent Remy Boydell, Marie Capelle France, Nicole Gu, Jonathan Hill, Emma Hunsinger, Casey Nowak, Micah Song, and Tilly Walden. Athenium Comic Art gives fans the opportunity to own an original piece of art from their favorite comics and support the artists that they love. In their short time in business, they've already shipped many iconic pages out to hardcore fans across the globe. Don't miss out on your chance to own a one-of-a-kind piece of history. Check out their website, atheniumcomicart.com, and type in Gutter Gang at checkout to receive free shipping on your first order. Again, the website is atheniumcomicart.com, and the code is Gutter Gang.
What do a pair of deadly assassins, a beefy pile of roided-up high school football players, a zombie outbreak, cute dragons, and a himbo barbarian have in common? You can find them all in the upcoming pages of the Santos Sisters. That's right, Ambar and Alana are back for more gripping adventures. Once again, offset press printed in full color on your favorite decadent newsprint. Prestigious publication. The Comics Journal loved the first issue, calling it a highly entertaining comic. And Katie and Sally from the Thick Lines podcast called it a masterpiece and more than they deserve. And who are we to disagree? The Santos Sisters is available now. Don't miss out. Ask your favorite comic book retailer to add it to your pull list today or find it online at santossisters.com.
Rust Belt Review is a quarterly comics lit magazine featuring serialized and short-form comics from some of the most exciting cartoonists in the small press scene today. Volume 1 features work from Gutter alums M.S. Harkness, Audra Stang, and Caleb Orecchio, along with work by Andrew Greenstone, Sean Knickerbocker, and Juan Jose Fernandez. You can order your copy of Rust Belt Review today by going to rustbeltreview.org. Enter in promo code GUTTER to receive $2 off your order. Again, that website is rustbeltreview.org. Promo code GUTTER.
Who loves underground comics? Everybody loves underground comics, and if you know people who don't love underground comics and only read the mainstream comics, immediately report them to your local comic book store and find them with copies of Clusterfucks Comics. Clusterfucks Comics is a black and white underground anthology comic zine featuring some of the best underground comics creators today. Creators like Cameron Zavala, Eric Jasek, Brian Judge, Miguel Aguilar, Adam Yeater, Jason Cavelli, Umberto Tonella, Anna Peterson, Tony DePasquale, Drew B. Hall, and so many more. Issues 1 through 4 are available now, with the 5th issue debuting in early 2023. Purchase your copies today at clusterfuckscomics.bigcartel.com. And that's comics with an X. Clusterfucks Comics. Comics you can clusterfucks with.
The Last Aviatrix is a post-nuclear adventure comic by independent, Los Angeles-based cartoonist Buster Cagle. The story follows Summer, our last aviatrix, who pilots the sole-surviving airplane, a nuclear-powered B-29, as she travels the ruined world finding ways to survive and help humanity while dealing with the imminent threat of the Atom-born, a rare breed of atomic wizards that want to see her out of the sky. Her mission becomes complicated when she accidentally picks up Henry, an Atom-born child who wields incredible power, and Clementine, a berserker on a quest for vengeance. Can our aviatrix survive this ruined and irradiated wasteland? Every issue can be read for free on bustercagle.com/comics. Paper copies can be ordered as well, but you can still read it for free. If you like wizards or warplanes, go check it out.
Hey Gutter Gang, Cam here to tell you about Soggy Landing again, longtime supporter of the podcast. They recently sent us printed copies of the first 3 chapters to review and are currently posting Chapter 4 online with updates on Instagram. And while I personally haven't seen any of Chapter 4 since I don't read webcomics, I can tell you the first 3 chapters are really fun to read and full of weed-smoking wizards and hijinks. They've also been contributors to Rust Belt Review issues 3 and 4 with some soggy side stories, so make sure to check those out too. You can read Soggy Landing over on Study Group Comics and over on Instagram at Ian Densford or at welcome_2_soggy_landing. Soggy Landing, hell yeah, dude.
Morning, Gary. Morning, Marianne. Need a menu? Nah, I'll just have the usual. You sure do love your eggs and coffee, Gary. Best way to start your morning, Marianne. Well, that and an issue of Town and County. What's that? Town and County is a new comic series written and drawn by cartoonist Alex Nall. He's that guy that wrote them books about teaching and that Mr. Rogers feller. Oh, he was such a nice man. The first issue is 36 pages of black and white comic stories with beautiful color covers and features 6 stories about folks in our little township here in Illinois, like Susie Barber, the house cleaner that uncovers her client's dirty laundry, if you know what I mean, and Stanley Pepper, that big feller that just lost his job and took to drinking every night at Bugs's Tavern. Well, ain't that something? Town and County is published by Ivy Terrace Press, headquartered in Chicago. Chicago? Who would want to live there? So dirty. Each issue comes with a copy of the Hometown Hero, our little town's newsletter, and it's only $8. $8? Where can I get it, Gary? You can order a copy of Town and County on the internet at storeenvy/Alex Knoll Comics. Oh, there's your breakfast, Gary. Thanks, Mary Ann. Nothing like a cup of coffee and a good comic book.
Now, back to our program.
And welcome back from the break. Today, on the second half of the show, we are joined by Detroit, Michigan-based cartoonist Derek Marks. Derek just released his new issue of Fabulous Topless Woman, issue number 2, and is also hot off the heels of an appearance at TCAF a few weeks ago, and just released a third printing, if I'm not mistaken, of Legendary Spirits, the collected Grace, Jerry, Jessica, and me. Derek, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, hey, we're here hanging out.
We're good. We're good. How was TCAF?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best shows I've done.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay, that's good news.
Yeah, we were wanting to know like what the show is going to be like. They had the weird like NFT thing, so we didn't know if it would be like a volatile, kind of environment.
None of that. No, none of that. It was I think the only thing that I would complain about with it was that we had to wear masks the whole time, which is sort of like a half. It's like a half complaint. I was like, I get it, and I'll do it. Just to, it's etiquette at this point. But it makes it, when you're standing there all day selling yourself, it makes you have to shout louder than you can. So by the end of the day, you're just this like raspy Lindsay Lohan mess.
Was that your first time doing TCAF?
No, it was my second.
Okay. Better than the first time?
I would say, I don't know. It's hard to say. The first time I did it, it was in 2019. I was in a different area. This time I had a corner table on the second floor, which was it was sort of off in like a secret room that a lot of people maybe wouldn't have known about. But since I had that corner table, a lot of traffic came through. And then my partner that they just teamed me up with, I didn't know her. She didn't show up. So I ended up having like this whole big space. So it was sort of nice.
That's sick. Best case scenario.
Yeah, you lucked out. Yeah.
No giant banner just like hiding your stuff or anything,
No. I know. I wish I would have had something. I'm so bad at presenting my stuff. I just like show up with like, some little things, and it's not really so many other people you walk by and it's like they've set up a mini store, and the displays are beautiful, but mine are just like, here they are.
Can we come to a consensus here that if you run a small press show, like you're tabling at a small press show, there's no reason to have a banner?
Yeah. I mean, if they know who you are, I mean, if you have the tablecloth where it just says your name so people can find you, I think that's fine.
Well, and with TCAF, I think there's so many that you probably need a banner at TCAF. There's so many so many, what's the word I'm looking for here?
I just think because, like
exhibitors
you mentioned earlier, there's not a whole lot of space to begin with.
Yeah. Because it's like, 3 floors? Because I haven't actually been to the show. I've only seen pictures. Is it still like all the floors of the library?
Yeah, it's 3 floors. The first floor is kind of the primo area. That's where they have all the bigger vendors. And then the second floor, I think they have 2 areas. It's there's like one area towards the windows off to the side, and then where I was kind of like a room off to the side. So it was sort of like a big room with a lot of different vendors in there. And then I didn't even go to the third floor. The whole time I was there, since I didn't have anyone helping me this time, or like a partner to be like, hey, watch my stuff. I just, I was pretty much just at my table.
Right. Yeah.
Did you buy anything cool, or did you not even get a chance to look around?
I mean, the only thing I did, I went to the Secret Acres table and I bought their stuff because that I made friends with them when we were there. And then I went and Stranger's Fanzine, I went to his table, but I didn't buy anything. I was just dropping off copies of Legendary Spirits, and I talked to Eddie for a bit. That was it. That was all I could do.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. Did you get to enjoy Toronto outside of the show?
I mean, a little bit. And we went out for drinks, and then the day after was the wrap party, and that was fun. And then that was kind of it. I mean, you guys know from doing those shows, you're just kind of beat after it. So like you like want to go party and stuff because when are you around all these other cartoonists that but
right. Yeah.
I'm old and don't have the energy.
Yeah. I've definitely made some poor decisions early on at doing those shows.
Yeah, you learn from experience for sure.
Yeah. Or you don't learn at all and you just keep making the same mistakes.
It's all good. Those shows, you're supposed to have fun. You're paying money to do it, and
Right. Yeah.
Fuck it, have fun.
Yeah, as long as you're keeping yourself in check, have as good of a time as you want.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I do want to get into your work and everything, but I was reading the afterword to your collection, Legendary.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time on that. So
okay, So I was reading the afterword there, and I want to start it off kind of hot. You crashed Bjork's birthday party.
Oh God, yeah, I did.
Do you want to talk about this?
This was old school Derek hipster New York days. I used to just my friends and I would go out all the time, and we just ended up at this club. I can't remember the name, but it was like a big scenester kind of place. It's now a Chinese restaurant called Mission Chinese. So whatever that place was. And so we were just there, and then all of a sudden my friend was like, Bjork's having her birthday party. And we were wasted. We were just like, let's go. And when you have the liquid courage, you just do things. So I just like walked right up to her, and I was like, happy birthday. And she looked at me and she just turned away. And I was like, you know what? Fair enough. But then me and my friend were walking down the stairs, we were walking up the stairs, and Bjork was walking down the stairs. And she noticed my friend because my friend had a really great outfit and looked amazing. And Bjork was like, I love your outfit. And then my friend was like, got totally nervous and just told Bjork, dance. And then we ran. That was it.
Hell yeah, that rocks. Yeah. So, you do work with the comics I've seen. I've been buying your work since, I don't know, mid 2015 or so.
Beginning. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was like, it was like when I first started like getting into like indie comics, like, like more underground stuff. And I actually I bothered Michel Fife, and I was like, what else should I be reading right now? And he was like, you need to check out Ryan Cecil. You need to check out Derek Marks and Rich Tommaso. And
he's the best.
Yeah. So, I bought comics from all three of you all, and I've been buying your stuff ever since. But one thing that, you were doing the series that is now collected into Legendary Spirits, Grace, Jerry, Jessica, and me. And it's about, the three of them living in an apartment with you as their fourth roommate. And there's these little snippets and vignettes that make up the book that are more humorous than not, and also get pretty out there. Is this done? It's done now? Is that right?
It's done. Yeah. I mean, it could go on forever. I mean, all their lives go on forever, which, they're all pretty tumultuous people. So I could do more, of course. But I just feel like I need to concentrate on other things and kind of close the book. And I also feel like that third issue that I did was kind of it had a finality to it. Because it explains kind of just what it's like to be a fan in general, kind of goes into that. So I feel like it was a good wrap up to the whole thing, but I don't know. I mean, I could do more. I mean, it was only supposed to be a one-off in the beginning anyway. I did that first zine, and then the reason why I did more is because I got a really good response from it, and then people were then coming forward to me and telling me their stories about these women, and then Grace released her autobiography, and then I had read Jerry's autobiography, and I was like, oh, I gotta do more. So that's why it went on more than it did. But which you can kind of glean when you get the collection. It's not. I guess the third issue kind of ties it together. But I think in the beginning, I didn't really know what I was doing, and that was kind of the fun of it anyway.
Now, besides this and Fabulous Topless Woman, you also do I don't know if you call that a zine or a collection, and you'll draw the old MTV interviews and musicians from that period. Do you call that like a zine? What do you call that?
Yeah, it's a zine. Okay. I mean, the reason why I printed it on that yellow paper is because I did it in, a moleskin sketchbook. So I wanted it to kind of look like that too. And I use a really simple color scheme. I mean, it's just black, white, and red,
Yeah.
So I think it has like a good look. But I mean, I've done the aim was to do 120 of them, obviously 120 minutes. But I'm more than halfway through that, but I've only done 2 of the zines. And I just figure I would just do it as a collection when I'm finally done with it, rather than put out little zines here and there. I feel like it's like cheating a little bit.
Definitely. But I mean, it works, and you got to get the material out there. So
yeah. I mean, it's good to put them online, and all that to celebrate those people. Keep myself going in that respect. But yeah, it's an ongoing thing I've been doing since 2015. Another thing I just did on a whim and just posted a bunch of them when I did them. So. But it's been fun for sure. I mean, it's, we all kind of YouTube these people anyway. So you might as well draw them while you're doing it. Find your moments.
Well, in all of your work that I've seen, I haven't seen your work pre-2015. It's all rooted in pop culture. I don't know how much of, in Legendary Spirits, how much of that's autobio, because it gets pretty ridiculous sometimes in a good way, it just gets really funny and, out there. But with your comic work, have you always incorporated pop culture into it, or were you doing different stuff?
Yeah, no, not at all. Actually, after I finished the 3rd issue of Grace, Jerry, Jessica, Me, and I was kind of done with that series, I went into hardcore kind of reflective mode. And basically from like 96 till about 2002, I was quite prolific then. And I would put out zines and just sell them at local stores. I was living in Albuquerque and Seattle at the time. During that period, and all that stuff, none of it's really pop culture based. Although I will say that one of the main characters in those series, they're like a comics couple, so there's a lot of comics talk. They're just kind of boring comics where they talk about comics, but it's like 90s comics, so it is a bit dated in that respect. But I still really like that stuff. But so it's essentially. Sort of pop culture, but more in conversation, not necessarily Derek and putting himself in with these pop culture figures. They're just talking about it and living their lives. It's part of the story.
I see. So you've been making comics for a long time then?
Oh yeah, I started when I was, 4 years old. My first comic was called A Princess's Adventure. It was largely due to my brother, my older brother. He was really into comics, so they were just around, and I learned how to read and picked them up and just started drawing. And so that's been my whole life, pretty much.
So you knew, from a young age that you wanted to do comics, or was it kind of an on again, off again?
Well, I did know, yeah, for sure. I got involved in other things like music and whatever, but comics has always been the thing I feel like I'm best at. And I don't know. I mean, you guys both do it too. You just get that Zen moment with it. It's great when you're there.
Yeah, definitely. So when did you start putting the pieces together in the sense of, I'm going to actually print these up and try to sell them or give them out? Or were you doing that stuff since you started at such a young age? Did you start doing that in like high school? Was it, after?
I was in high scholl, and I was real shy about approaching people. So, the first zine I did, which was about a lesbian couple, I just like put them at stores. I didn't actually tell anyone. I just like dropped them in the free bin. So that's what I did. And then, I released like 4 more zines at that time. I gave them to friends and sort of did it the same way. And it wasn't until I moved to Albuquerque after I was out of high school, I was 18, and I started doing a zine called Hit and Run. And there was a store called Wavy Brain there, and the guy Brad that ran it was really cool, and we'd always have conversations. And then then I came out to him that I was a comic artist, and he was like, I want to see your stuff, and he was really supportive. And then that first issue of that, he like put it in the store window and was like selling it hardcore. It was like he was my agent or something. And so that I had like a nice little run there in Albuquerque with it. But yeah, that was kind of it. I don't know. The weird part about that time was I was so shy as an artist. I was so critical of myself. There's so much more material that I finished and I just didn't put out there because I didn't think it was good enough. And I'm looking back on it now that I have distance from it, and I was like, it is good. I don't know why I didn't do it. Anyway, whatever. Missed opportunity. What can you do? The lesson learned from that is like, don't second guess yourself too much. It's other people that are going to criticize you. You shouldn't criticize yourself too much.
Now, did you pursue higher education in like arts or for anything else?
I did. I went to it was a hard won battle. My parents didn't want me to do that, so they wanted me to go to computer science school, and I was like, I want to be an artist, and they're like, well, you're on your own. And so then I did it. So I went to FIT. The first year was great, but then after that, I dropped out. I mean, I did the second year and everything, but I found it didn't really work for me. And then also I had like a job, like a career kind of starting. And then I just was like, I'm just going to go with this other career, my day job that I still do now, because it was really good. And yeah, anyway, so that basically became my day thing that I was doing.
So it's interesting because you said that, you chose the path of the career and you still make time for comics. So
yeah,
are you in the mindset of this is always going to be like, for me, a part-time thing until I'm done with my career? Or is it like, a passion that you want to eventually put the career in the back seat and, hopefully make a way with comics?
It's a good question, because my career is a good one. I'm an agent for photographers and stylists, and they're all really cool people. Yeah, they're amazing. The company I work for is also really great. They take good care of me. They allow us to be remote. Our job's kind of remote anyway, so it makes sense. But there was a time when I was getting a lot of commissions and a lot of asks, and I was sort of like, maybe I should just pursue this full time. So I talked to my boss, and he was like, pursue what you're going to do, but don't give it up. Give up this job. I was like, you're right. Like, I like this job. So I hired like another assistant to help me with all that. And so I was doing those kind of commissions and all those things. And I just found I didn't really like it. I was like, I like doing my own stuff. And then, some commissions come in that are great. And of course I'm going to do those, but I can make time for those if they have enough deadline with my job. And I sort of see my job as like, it's pretty fulfilling because I'm helping like really established creatives with their careers and helping to advance that and helping moving them along. And like I said, they're great people. I've known them all a really long time. I just feel like I'm in a good place with that. And that to me is sort of the commissions that you would need as an artist to actually keep yourself going. Because your comics, like your indie like my Grace, Jerry, Jessica, like that's never going to make a lot of money. I love doing it. It's really fun. It can lead to these other things. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to do the commissions. I'd rather have my normal career. Although my career does kind of take over my life a lot of times. I mean, this week especially, I was telling you, Cam, I was like, I'm working like 12-hour days. Can't really tell. But and the thing was too, I remember I was really like shy about that with my artists. I didn't tell them I did this, and as soon as I told them I did this, they were all into it. And like my clients, when I talk to them too, they're all really into it, and I didn't even know that. I was like, oh, of course you're going to know I'm an artist too, and that's going to make you even more happy to reach out to me about suggestions for jobs, because I have taste, because I am an artist myself. And plus I can send you my comics. You see exactly what I do. So it's actually like been better for my career in a way. But so I realize I'm in a really unique position and I should just keep it going. So I guess to answer your question, unless I got a really great deal from somebody that was like, yeah, do whatever you want and here's a ton of money.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. If that were to happen, sure. But I think the way things are now, I have a manageable career ish, it kind of takes over, but I figured out a way to do my comics and do my job. And I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it all.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
it works for you.
Yeah, definitely don't let go of that job. That's
Yeah,
no,
it's not worth it.
Yeah,
no, I know that. No, trust me. Because I gave this like a test run when I was like 25. I quit my job because I had all these opportunities, with illustration and everything. So many of them fell through, and then it's just like such a crazy hustle to get it done, and you just have to suck up to a lot of people you don't like. And I was like, no, F this. If I have a nice career, like, why give it up for pennies that I have to hustle for? Like, no.
Right. So how long did it take for you to find that right balance between your day job, your work life, and your comics?
I pretty much schedule myself really well. And that's also like a part of my job. Like, we're just scheduling things all the time. It's all about keeping organized because it's crazy, and that's what keeps it all in check. You give yourself a schedule. So like every day I make myself a schedule when I wake up, and I'm like, this hour I do this. And you don't always follow it because life happens, but if you can kind of be in that same zone, you can get things done. For me, I find that the earlier you wake up, like no one's bothering you then.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's why I love waking up early for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. You have that sweet spot between like 6 and 8 or something that you can do things. So it's just really planned out. That's the only way I'm able to balance it. And then you have to get into the mindset. Yeah, just keep it going. Like when I found out I was doing TCAF, I was like, oh shit, I gotta finish Fabulous Topless Woman too. I only had 10 pages at that point. And so I was like, I have to do 10 more pages in 2 months. And then I just put myself on this kind of rigid schedule, much to the chagrin of my friends and my boyfriend. But I did it. And I hit the deadline I needed to get it to the printers in time. So that felt really good. I was like, I was actually able to meet my own self-inflicted deadlines.
Well, are you working on comics like on a regular basis then? Or is it kind of just like, okay, I got a show coming up, I need to get something out?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more like freeform about it. Like I knew I wanted to do another few Fabulous Topless Woman. She's definitely ongoing. I don't really see an end to her because she also, since I represent photographers and stylists and work in a lot of the fashion world, that kind of informs a lot of those stories. So that's where you get all of those funny bits. So it feeds my job, feeds the comics in a way. I'm sorry. What was the question? I kind of forgot. I went off on a.
Oh, just are you working like regularly, or are you just like, oh, it's time to do a comic?
Oh, right. Yeah. So basically, so many of my comics are written already. So I have the next thing that I'm doing is Fabulous Topless Woman #3, and that is going to be one big, huge story. It's sort of like an annual. I thought, okay, sick. I want to challenge myself. I want to have a story that actually has a plot. And so I came up with this whole crazy adventure for her. That's sort of more in the Grace, Jerry, Jessica outrageous insanity kind of fun kind of comic. So I know I have that. And then after that, I have another thing that's already written too. So I pretty much know what I'm going to do. It's just about finding the time to do it. So I'm going to start that basically, I think in the fall. I'm kind of taking the summer to do personal things, and I have to do some work trips and everything. So hopefully that'll be out next summer, if not next fall.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I have an idea of what I want to do since I'm basically always catching up to myself. I have everything's sort of written. I have so many drafts that are complete, and I just want to be able to get to them. I mean, that's the one thing about having the career versus doing the comics all the time. If I had just like 1 year to do all this, all the comics would be done.
Yeah, put them out for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but instead you're just going to get drips and drabs for however many years it's going to take me to do it. Kind of going back to what we were talking about with my old comics. Mm-hmm. I went through everything, and I wanted to kind of collect them and just do a small print run of them. But then I realized there was like one major story I wasn't ready to write yet at that time when I was like a teenager or 21 or whenever it was. And so I sat down over the holidays this year and I finished it, and I was really happy with it. So I thought I would do, kind of a volume of that once I'm done with the Fabulous Topless Woman, put it out with all the old comics, the stuff that I felt too insecure to put out at the time. And then that final story, which ties it all together again. So I don't know, I'm being really vague about what it's about, but Yeah, that's kind of the next thing that I want to do after that, and what's been on my mind as well. I don't know. I think I should probably post it to give people a primer instead of just being like, here it is, you know.
We mentioned posting to give a primer, so I feel like there's been a really big shift and a move into swipe comics. I'm even trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. Is that something you're interested in, or are you a print purist because, you know, you do them, you know, here and there?
I'm kind of a little bit of both. You know, a lot of the Fabulous Topless Woman's, they are short comics that you can just swipe through.
Yeah.
The old stuff that I did, I mean, the problem with me doing that is, oh God, the way they're so dense, the comics, it's hard to break them up into a swipe that way. I posted my first zine like a couple years ago, the one about the lesbian couple. But yeah, I don't know. I would do a mix, but I do think if you're buying the print comic, just like as a customer, like I wouldn't want to buy something where it's already been purely online. I feel like I'd want something exclusive to that issue. And that's just a personal thing.
That's kind of where I'm at on it, because like I would want to give you half the story and be like, oh, you got to buy it. But a lot of people are just conditioned to read it online, and then they will buy the copy. Like, you know, I don't know if you've heard, you know, Nate and Josh on the show, but they, you know, post everything online and then they still sell out of their physical copies. So
yeah, I think they do, because they probably have tapped into that customer base that's really appreciative to both print and digital. Like, you know, so I don't think I'm there yet. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I would just post it online. Like, who cares? I mean, it looks different online than it does in print. It always looks better in print, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. And it's just interesting. You know, I wrestle with, am I going to do it or am I not going to do it? And I just think it's interesting because it's like something that's kind of taken over, and a lot of people are starting to incorporate it into how they let the reader consume their work. So I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, you can always try it, you know, and if you find it doesn't work, then you do what you want to do. I don't know. I don't know. For me, I just feel like do what you want to do and see what sticks.
For sure. You mentioned having your next projects written and everything. Is your writing, are you like actually doing like a script, or are you thumbnailing? What's your writing process look like?
No, I think because I started with comics in my brain as a blueprint at such a young age. I just, when I draw, they're kind of really scratchy, but I draw them like actual comics while I'm doing them, and they're really quick, you know, but that's how I think. So it's kind of great in that way. Like later I might, you know, it's sort of like a first pass. It comes out in a rush. And then later I kind of go back and, you know, give it more, fleshing it out more, I guess, if that's a word.
So are you drawing, like, let's say you're working on like a comic or a zine. You mentioned you had like 10 pages done and you were like, oh, let's do the other 10 pages because the show's coming up. Are you usually drawing everything like over X amount of months or years, or do you usually like do it in like pockets of time where so it looks consistent? Because I don't notice any kind of inconsistency in it.
Do you? Oh, really? Thank you. Because
yeah, I mean, like, you could tell that different stories have different things going on, but like I've never seen like I guess like a single story where I'm like, oh, this looks like it was drawn at different times. You know, once it's, you know, beginning, middle, and end, it always looks kind of, it flows as like, you know,
I'm glad you brought that up, because when I put those out, I was like, to me, it looks so different because I feel like I've gotten a lot more polished, and that's due to I switched to digital recently, and I would rather draw everything by hand. But when you have to scan everything in and clean it up, it just takes so much time. And you know, as I mentioned, I have this whole other life, so it eliminates all that time. So I'm able to kind of power through it with digital. My worry was, though, that it would not look as consistent. I think the key to that, though, was I made the jitter on it. My line is still a little bit shaky in digital, and I did it on purpose, so it's not completely perfect. So it does maintain some of the consistency. But that's a really nice compliment. Thank you, Cam.
If you didn't have to worry about the time needed in order to scan and clean up your images, would you still strictly just work on paper?
I would, yeah. I think so. Because then you have an original that you can give somebody.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. Like, I got a request recently for that, and I was like, oh, fuck, I don't really have that many recent originals because everything is digital, you know?
Are you drawing on a tablet, or are you using okay.
No.
Are you on an iPad, or?
Yeah, I use my iPad to draw, but I set it up so it's really just for drawing. I don't let myself get on the internet with it or anything. So it's purely just for that. But it makes it nice. I can travel with it. Like right now I have to do a commission for a magazine this weekend. I'm like, oh, I just bring my pad. Like it's before I would have to bring my whole crazy setup, you know? And
Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier to do things on the go for sure.
So I wanted to talk about influences. You know, I feel like you're pulling a lot from, you know, some established small press people and also people outside of comics. So let's talk about that. What are your biggest influences, not just for drawing, but also, you know, your layouts, your pacing, your storytelling, that kind of thing?
I guess off the top of my head, I would say Jaime Hernandez would be like kind of number one. Although Jaime came in late for me. I didn't discover Love and Rockets until I was like 17 or 18.
Okay.
So yeah, but before that, when I was a kid, you know, John Byrne's run on X-Men, the whole Dark Phoenix saga, that was hugely influential to me. Weirdly, it is for a lot of other gay people, I think, because it's got like high camp or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a soap opera.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so I was really into that. And then, you know, my gateway drug into indie comics was the Sandman comics, because I feel like that was sort of in between superhero and indie. And so
that was a big comic for me for similar reasons.
Right? It's like pot.
It's like the bridge, yeah. It's the bridge between them.
So I was really into that, and like that was pretty influential on little 13-year-old Derek. And then, you know, in that time in the 90s, there weren't that many indie comics. So the ones that had the biggest effect on me were Chester Brown's Yummy Fur, 8-Ball by Dan Close, which is, you know, still remained a juggernaut. Hate by Peter Bagg, and Dirty Plot by Julie Duchess. Those were kind of my four biggies that I used to be really influenced by and fantasize about having their lives. But then I was like, oh, no, actually, I don't want that life once I became an adult. And Maurice Phillips comics. They were so relatable because he was like this fabulous gay illustrator comics artist, you know, and that seemed the closest to what I could actually be.
Yeah, I love their stuff that was in the Drawn and Quarterly. That's all I've ever seen is the Drawn and Quarterly anthology stuff. But
oh yeah, you should pick up his, if you can find it. It's called Velavision, and it's a collection of all his comics.
Okay.
And he's coming out with an autobiography. I think he told me it was next year. I met him at TCAP, which was like such a wonderful experience because I've loved his work for so long. And yeah, he told me that, you know, hopefully that'll be done.
That's awesome. Is it going to be a comic or an actual like written
auto? Okay. Yeah, like no, like a comic,
okay.
But you
awesome.
know, like a proper graphic novel. But yeah, his style's unparalleled. I mean, he's so great. I remember too in the 90s, it was sort of like I had his comics, and then suddenly I was seeing his illustrations in Vogue, and you know, I was just like, go Maurice. I don't know. It made my heart swell.
So, where are you actually from? Because you kind of bounce around. Where were you growing up at?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Miami.
Okay.
And that's where I spent my formative years.
Damn, shout out 305.
Yeah. Oh, look at you, 305. Yeah. Michael Fife's from there too, and we're the same age, and we never knew each other.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I was there until I was 16. And then my parents divorced when I was really young. So I had the option. My dad was moving to North Carolina in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. And my dad was like, do you want to live with me? So I was like, sure. So I went and lived with him and finished high school there. But then, you know, as I was finishing high school, I was like, wait, I'm gay. I can't be gay here.
One of the worst places to probably.
You can do worse.
There's like two
yeah.
other gay people.
Yeah.
There's two other gay people. And if you're not into them, then you're screwed. And I was like, yeah, I'm not into the other two other gay people here. So then my sister lived in Albuquerque at the time. So I moved in with her. And Albuquerque was great because that was the first time I was right out of high school. And I didn't really know that many other people that were into like alternative music or any of the weird stuff I was into. And suddenly Albuquerque, that was the norm. So I was like popular there. And so I was like going around to parties, and I had a social life. So that was like a really amazing thing. But then that sort of ended with my first boyfriend and I breaking up, and I was like, I need to get out. So I moved to Seattle for a minute. Seattle wasn't really for me. then I had an opportunity to move to New York in 2001, and I just took it. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to try it, so.
Was this pre or post 9/11?
Well, it's kind of weird because I got a job in the summer in New York, and I left on September 2nd, 2001.
Oh, wow.
To go back to Seattle. And then September 11th happened. And the guy that I met there that we had this like crazy romance with was like, I'm scared. I want to move to Seattle. So he moved with me to Seattle. And then we were like, Seattle kind of sucks. And let's go back to New York. So we went back to New York again in 2002.
Okay.
At the end of 2002. And then I didn't leave until 2020.
And what made you want to leave if that's not too personal of a question?
Well, we were kind of thinking about it for a while, my boyfriend and I mean, we've been together for 9 years. So we were like wanting to buy something, which is, haha, in New York, if you're not a billionaire. So we were trying, and like going to like the outskirts of Queens, trying to buy a place. And we couldn't even get that. Like we would get beaten by like the person that beat us for the place that we tried to buy was like a Chinese overlord that paid cash. So we were like, okay, we're just fucked. We can't actually get a place here. So, we were thinking about other options, and then COVID happened, and we lived in a tiny apartment with thin walls and everyone was in there. So I was like, this is making me insane. Like I can't deal with this. And that's when John was like, oh, we can go out to the house in Michigan, the one that I'm talking to you from right now, like his family kind of shared house. And so we just camped out there for COVID, and I loved it. I mean, I kind of like isolation like that. I mean, I'm sure you guys can relate to as comic artists, you just hunker down.
Yeah, second nature. Yeah.
Kinda, right? Like, but then it's like isolation, but then I have all this beauty around me. We're on a lake, and there's like a forest you can walk in. I'm like, I'm all into that. There's that kind of like crunchy hippie bitch in me that gets into it. So we finally really liked it, and then my office was like, deciding what they wanted to do, about it, and once business started kind of happening again, we're also working remotely. And so it all kind of organically happened in that way. Like they decided to close the office and we all went remote anyway. And that's why I was like, I just asked all my artists, I'm like, do you care if I move to Michigan? They're like, no, I just talk to you on the phone anyway. Just come visit me sometimes. So that's kind of how that happened. And then plus my partner's family is all here. So my family's like scattered all over the US, but and abroad. Like, so there's no like central place I could live to be near my family. But for him, his family is all here. So I was like, let's do it. I mean, I love his family. We've been together forever. So that's what we did. And, you can actually afford to live here as opposed to New York.
So living at all those different places, did you ever, connect with the comic scene, or have you always just kind of been a drifter who just did your own thing?
Oh God, drifter. I don't know. I don't know if I.
Well, drifter sounds bad, but what I mean is like
real grimy.
Yeah. What I mean is like you move from city to city.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. No, I do feel like I was always a bit on the periphery, but I always had kind of like a touchstone person that I was friends with, and that person for me is always Michael Fife. So we've been good friends since like 2005 or something.
Hang on, is it Michael? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, I mean, you can pronounce it either way.
Okay, some asshole told me, I always said Michael, and then some asshole said it's Michelle, and I was like, fuck,
it was me. I told you that.
He doesn't care. He does not care. I call him Fife. I don't even call him Michael. But anyway.
Yeah. No, I've asked him point blank about that, because I was just like, please just give me an answer.
What do you think?
He would not give me an answer. He was just like, you tell him, it's Michelle,
Michael.
He
likes the mystery.
He really does.
That's true. Yeah. No. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, I mean, I do have friends in comics. I mean, when I went to Toronto, I hung out with Eric Kostick Williams. He's great. The Secret Acres guys I just met. We got along great. I'm trying to think who else. Max Wittert. He's a good friend of mine. Well, I mean, we haven't talked in a while, but anyway, we used to hang out more. But he's not really as active in comics anymore. I'm trying to think who else. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to have more friends and everything in it, but
overrated.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
I don't know. I mean, when I talk to cartoonists, we relate so much about our ways of life.
Yeah,
because it's odd to explain it to somebody that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Why won't you come out?" And I'm like, "Because I need to draw a comic about a naked woman."
Yeah, no, you've explained the show basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people people being as isolated as they are, even before COVID, they need some sort of network of people they can relate to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that was what was so wonderful about TCAF. I mean, I don't know, I just met a lot of other cartoonists and I just felt like all of us kind of connected, There's definitely like a community vibe there. Nothing about that like NFT person, whatever.
Right.
Who's just as a put a little bow on that, they've completely ghosted all their followers.
Their Discord.
What do you mean?
That's right.
And all their investors, they're just not communicating with them anymore.
They're just abandoning the projects.
They just abandoned all the projects and are closing down the Pink Cat thing. This is all like they've just went like completely silent, and like all of their like investors in the Discord are like the mods left, Pink Cat left.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So
I didn't realize it was like a whole thing.
Yeah, well, it's a pyramid. And
what happened?
Pink Cat was at the top.
Right.
And
what happened was as expected for a pyramid scheme.
Oh god, that thing was so weird. I remember when I saw TCAF had that announcement, and I was like swiping and seeing the people, and I paused on that person, and I was like, "That's like a bad drawing," and I just swiped, and then it was my birthday, so I just shut off, and did my birthday thing.
Yeah.
And then like 2 days later, there was like all this drama suddenly, and I was like, "Oh, I have to check out this person." And I looked at it, and I was like, "This is bad." I was like, "What? It's not even good NFTs." I was like.
Yeah, someone.
No artistic merit to it.
Someone on Twitter posted a bunch of screen grabs from the Discord after she like ghosted everyone, and it's people like the cognitive dissonance of people trying to reconcile the fact that they got duped into a pyramid scheme, and now it's like
I'm
very
really
clear.
Interested in that. This
funny.
might be make a good comic actually to talk about this insanity with all that, because. I'm more interested in the person that buys into it than I am into the person that did it,
Right.
Like, what is behind that psychology? Because I just saw it and I was like, this is ugly. Like, swipe. No.
Yeah. Yeah, one of these things are not like the other.
I enjoy it because it's funny. At this point,
I get amusement out of it.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in the world, like in our timeline, it's just as long as it's funny, whatever.
Yeah, I still don't really get NFTs, and I don't get their place in comics. Like, I just don't understand. Like,
they shouldn't exist.
There isn't a place for them in comics, but the people who make them and manage them have shoehorned them into corners of comics using this whole like pitch of, like we support artists and, we are for artists getting paid money and making money off of their work and yada, yada, yada.
But it's still like, I don't know. It's so weird. I just don't get it.
The episode. It's just the Simpsons episode of the monorail. That's all it is.
Yeah, I know. Well, I work with, I deal with photography and a lot of usages and stuff like that. And so I remember when that was happening, I was like, wait, my whole business is like usage and making sure that people can only use an image for a certain amount of time. They never own it, and if they want to own it, they have to pay a lot of money, and so people usually don't. So the concept of the NFT it's just weird to me. I don't know. It's also it's not tangible. I don't know. I feel like if I'm going to own something, I want to touch it.
If you think too deeply about it, it just falls apart like immediately.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
that's
yeah,
because
you're right. It can literally fall apart because someone else is controlling what we have digitally. It's not up to us.
Yeah.
But if you do have that physical object, then it does have value to me. So that's what I can't wrap my head around with it.
You're not supposed to is the thing. You're not supposed to wrap your head around it, because the moment you do, it's just transparently a scam.
I know. There's so many other better things we could be thinking about. I mean, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one really talked about that. I mean, there was like one person that like brought it up in passing, that someone was like mad about it or something. But I think everyone was just like happy to see each other and be in a place again with other cartoonists, that it was sort of like a celebration in a way there.
Yeah.
I'd never experienced that at any other con I've done. So, and I've had some good moments, and I've had some really bad dark moments at cons too. For sure.
Oh, let's get into that. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
What are we doing talking about fucking NFTs for?
bad dark con moments.
Yeah.
Well, I started doing them, I'd say in 2014. And that was like 2014, 2015 was when I was really like, I'm going to get myself out there and do everything that comes my way. So I'd say the Zine Fest were usually pretty good for me. Those always went well. I did the one in New Orleans, No Caz, and that was cheap for me because I had a friend that lived there and I could stay with her. So I really just had to pay for a flight, and it was like this wild success. So I felt like it was really good for me, you know? And then right after that, I did Mocha, and it was like, that was the worst con I think I've still ever done.
Really? Okay.
Oh, really?
Tell us about that. Tell us
well,
about
I think
that.
Mocha, I mean, I think it's changed, you know? I think it's different now. But when I did it in 2015, so I had this 6-foot table and I had 3 feet of it. And dumbly, I invited my friend to do it, who I love. You know, she would table with me a lot. She's an illustrator named Haley Blatt. She's amazing. She does this zine called Fursuit Heroines that's all like kind of like Varga girls, but they're all like hairy ladies. And she draws the hair like so detailed and beautiful. Anyway, so she has like a unique thing going on. She's also like gorgeous and has this striking presence. So she's always, her and I doing shows together is always fun. So it was just us two at 3 feet. And then like the people next to us, they brought 3 people for their 3 feet. So we were all crammed together, and then everybody that was like on our same row had the same idea. So it was sort of like you had no space at all, and then everyone that was walking by was just sort of scanning you. We're in like a bad spot. So we sold like I think I did my worst sales ever of any show I've done. Can't even tell you. And there was just so much like it was just drama, like moving around and everything. I mean, eventually, like the other people we were tailing with, like we got along, you know, but I think they were annoyed and we were annoyed at the time. And I also think that the Mocha Fest, you have to pay to get in. And I do think that discourages people from buying things. If it was just free, I think people would feel better about picking up comics.
Well, and it's always interesting because I don't know if Mocha's set up like this, but why is it that the shows that have like ticketed entry have like the most expensive table fees?
Oh yeah, I don't remember how much Mocha costs, but you know, Haley and I split it, so I don't think it was that bad. And I'm local to New York, so it was like I probably lost like $75 or something. I can't remember how much it cost, but it wasn't that bad. But yeah, I do remember. And I remember when I got into Mocha, I'd been going to Mocha for so long. I was so proud of myself that they actually accepted me, you know? So I had kind of expectations like, oh, I'm here. I can finally, you know, be part of this thing that I've always wanted to be part of. But yeah, after I did, I was like, I'm not doing that show ever again. But you know, other ones have been better, for sure. I think that was the one that was worse, and I do think that one has gotten better, and I need to give it another chance. That was 7 years ago, so I don't want to like trash talk something that where they figured out that issue, you know.
You know, to be fair, I've never really heard anything resoundingly positive about Mocha.
Oh,
so
yeah, I'm not alone.
Yeah, no, you're definitely not alone in that.
Yeah, trying to think. The only other one that I did that was, I wouldn't even classify it as bad. I did Heroes Con, and I'm so not right for that show.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is not your scene.
I'm not, but you know, it's kind of a good litmus test, and it's always good to do kind of stuff like that when you're a fish out of water, because those people will walk by that are just like, wait, you have like weird Grace Jones comics? You have what? Like, and then they would like get into it, and so it was either people were like totally like weird cosplayers that would diss me, and I'm like, you're wearing an ill-fitting Superman costume. You can't diss me.
No, you have no room to talk.
Exactly, or like, or I'd find these like, you know, adults that are not necessarily looking for that, but then they'd see my comics, and so it was either like they'd insult me or they'd buy everything. So Heroes was interesting in that respect. So it wasn't like a total loss either, because my dad lives in North Carolina, so it was, you know, easy for me to do it. But it was, you know, that was kind of my lesson. Okay, I don't need to do like big major Comic Cons. I'm not the audience.
There's definitely like a minority of that crowd though that goes every year that would be 100% into your work, and clearly if they're buying everything, then it's true. It's not their main demo though. That's yeah. Oh, wait, and I'll tell you one more bad story, because this is the last one that was bad, and this is a really surprising one that was bad. I bombed at DragCon. What?
Oh,
I know.
I've never heard of that. Where's that show at?
Well, it's RuPaul's DragCon. And so it's in LA. And it was through my friend Haley. She got us in. And we were like, yeah, they're going to buy all our shit. They're going to totally be into my Grace Jones comics and Fabulous Topless Woman and Pursuit Heroines and, all that stuff. And nope, no one likes to read. That's what we found out there.
I guess if you reframe it in that, it is a show. It's like it's a convention explicitly for a drag reality show
and merch. Like they want things they can wear. They want they want stuff like that. They're not like, I'm gonna read a comic. What?
Comics are so low tier to begin with. So when you introduce it in that setting, it's like, okay.
I know, and I'm so disappointed they're still low tier. I mean, I thought we were past that at this point,
No, it's just straight
you
down,
always get
baby.
That, you always get that like whiff of hope. You're like, it's gonna happen finally, but it's pretty cyclical. Like it always looks so promising.
I know.
Like Sisyphus gets the rock to the top of the hill, then it just falls.
Well, it's like, how do we convince to the normal public that comics are legitimate, and it takes so much work to do them, and they're so well thought out. And, I mean, I really kind of think it's the ultimate, but other people aren't convinced, Like I look at a painting and I'm like, great, but I did this comic in the same time. And the whole fucking story.
Yeah, no, it's a less cooler Sisyphus type of situation, basically.
Yeah,
all of us are just constantly rolling this massive rock up a hill, and it's just meaningless.
Well, it's like we all kind of want to. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's sort of like, I think that the thing that I try to do with comics is I try to at least make a few things within each of my comics that would only happen in comics, which is, it's hard to do, but it's something, it's something with like the dynamic of the page and trying to make that all work in a certain way. And that to me is really beautiful. But also in another respect, comics, in a way, it's sort of the only way that we can make a little movie, and not have to hire anyone else to do it. So we're like making the movie, drawing it all out. It's all about us. It's this total like a tour thing. I don't know. I love it. I'm addicted to it. I have been for so long. I don't think I could ever give it up.
Incurable.
It's incurable. I mean, and there's all these, when you hear like successful artists talk about like, I would do this if I wasn't successful. I'm always like, but really, would you? Like, I'm actually doing that.
Yeah, no, it's grass is always greener. I've definitely heard that from so many like high paid illustrators who are like, I really want to get into comics, man. Like, how do I do it? And it's just like, well, you can be poor. That's pretty much a good introduction. Yeah.
Yeah, you could just do it. Right. Yeah. We say that all the time. It's like, what advice do you have? Do it.
Yeah, just fucking do it. That's all. No one's,
It's not going to do itself,
No, exactly. I mean, don't be afraid to be like everyone, there's that that like meme or something like no one, and then someone puts like whatever the thing. I mean, that's like my whole everything. Like no one asked me ever to do anything. I'm like, fucking here you go.
Yeah.
You just have to be bold.
All right. So we have some questions from our listeners that we want to get into. Was there anything you wanted to cover before we get into listener questions?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. We can circle back if there is. Okay.
You want me to do the whole spiel, or you got it?
You know what? Cam is the master of the Q&A spiel. I can only do the opening spiel. So, yeah, have at it, Cam.
If you want to participate with our show or with the guest, just follow us online at GutterBoysPod on Instagram and Twitter. We put up little questionnaires and you can send in questions. So yeah, let's go ahead and get straight into it. First question came from previous guest, friend of the show, and expected question came from Nate Garcia's Cartoons. Derek, what did you have for breakfast today? Be honest.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, honestly, I had a fabulous breakfast. It was yogurt with crushed almonds, raspberries, and honey.
Okay. Oh, look at you. Look at you.
Oh, no, I love breakfast. Breakfast, no, seriously. I like go all out for breakfast. The other day we had like a avocado toast with bacon. Yeah, it's the best time.
I like breakfast food, but I never eat at breakfast.
Oh, really? Well, you come and go with it. I mean, sometimes I eat breakfast for dinner, bacon and eggs for dinner.
Oh, yeah, that's the move.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's so good.
Yeah, great cuisine.
Right, we have past guest, friend of the show, Greg and Fake asking, where do you get your ideas? We kind of touched a little bit about that, but is there anything
the
that
worst
you wanted
question,
to?
Greg or Fake?
Hey, you know, he just got off of Heroes. You know, give him a break.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's same as everybody. I mean, the ideas come from all over the place. You know, Grace, Jerry, Jessica was because I Googled Grace Jones after going to her show and saw they were roommates, and I was like, no one's written about this. I was like, I gotta fucking do it. And then Fabulous Topless Woman came because I saw this lady on the beach that I was like, who is this crazy lady that's topless and like being fucking fabulous? I want to be her. So that's where that came from. And then I guess the other stuff comes from life, and then the other stuff's like random. You know, I mean, it's all those things.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Next question we already covered. But B.A. Chamness said, do you have what's your day job? So we already covered that. So I'll go ahead and get I'll go ahead and get into the last question, which compliments me. Scott JHPDX wrote in, Cam, your music picks and your stories are 3 flame emojis. What's everyone else listening to?
I mean, Cam, I saw that you recently bought all the PJ Harvey stuff and my heart like exploded. I was like,
yeah, that shit rocks.
Oh man, early PJ Harvey is my shit. Did you get 4-track demos too?
I haven't checked any of those out. Like I see them at the shop.
Get it. It's so good.
Yeah, because I figured they'd be like raw and, you know, worth checking out, but I didn't know if it was like worth buying.
That's actually my favorite because she recorded them in her bathroom and you can tell like the excitement of her discovering those songs. But that early period of PJ Harvey is my favorite. I guess sorry, go.
No, what sent me down my recent PJ Harvey, like, I'd listened to them in the past, like in college, but it'd been a while. And then I was watching Batman Forever and listening to the soundtrack, and there's a PJ Harvey song on it. And I was like, oh, I'm back in.
That song is so hot. Yeah, that's such a good one. That's like my favorite PJ Harvey when she's just like rocking and like, I don't know. I feel it in my stomach. It's so good.
Yeah, well, a lot of your work, you know, with the 120 minutes thing you're doing, it's a bunch of music related stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Are you only picking the artists that you're into, or are you just picking some?
No. A lot of some. It's a mix. It's some that I'm into, and some that maybe I'm not into their music, but they'll say something interesting. Mm-hmm. So I'll put that in there. It's all kind of random. I don't try to think about it too much. I just like, does this spark my interest, and then I write it down and draw the portrait. Kind of thing. But yeah, what else are you listening to? I kind of went off on the PJ Harvey world for a minute.
Well, I'm not supposed to answer this. They asked what you all are listening
me.
to. So
me.
You and JB.
We already know he has good taste, so
that's what
we need to
expand. We know.
That.
Actually, Scott gave us. This is so vain. I was like cracking up. I was looking at our reviews yesterday, just seeing if we had any new ones, and Scott gave us a 4-star review, not 5, 4-star review.
4, really?
But it was fair. It was like, interviews are always great. News segment isn't actually news, rather sometimes just 2 guys complaining.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, but that's like the beauty of it. Come on, Scott.
No, it was an honest review. So Scott, shout out to you for. But bump up that review to 5. Come on,
Scott,
man.
you're on the list.
Seriously. Well, JB, you go first with the music then.
No, you're the guest. You're the guest. Guest goes first.
Okay, I will say, I think the album that I've been coming back most to this year that's recent would be Sharon Van Etten's new album.
Okay.
I think it's great. I love her. She's another person whose voice I feel in my stomach, so I just have a reaction to her.
Sharon Bennett?
Sharon Van Etten. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
Pick up her new album, but basically her last 3 have all been great, like perfect. So definitely recommend those for sure. And then, I'm excited about Sky Ferreira coming back. I like her new single. I hope she doesn't disappear again. But she's a good diva for me for sure.
You don't have to go super into it, but what kind of music do you make?
Me? My music? Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn, you remembered that. I thought I was good. I thought I just like brought that up as an aside and you're going to forget about it. You're good.
No.
Yeah.
I make synth pop. I don't share it. So I basically, when I'm in between comics, like I know I have 2 months now in between, like I have to travel for work, blah, 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 blah. Now's the time where I can kind of do it. I'm a creatively restless person. So I always need to be working on something. So music's always been a thing for me. So yeah, I mean, right now I demoed a bunch of songs when I was in college. There's like 100. or something from from like 2005 to like 2012 or something. And so I was picking out those old ones and I was like, these have a good skeleton, but I didn't know how to make them more, make them better, I guess. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I picked 5 and I'm just kind of working on those now, and I might put them out. I might not. I don't know. We'll see. But
okay.
But
have you ever put anything out music wise?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm trying to think. Yes, I was part of a band. Yeah, then it was out, but it was kind of like a secret. So I can't tell you what it is, but it was carried at a certain very important museum. And it was part of like it was a capsule that you could buy, and there was 1,000 that were made, and I never saw a penny of it because there was like a falling out with all that. But that's the only place. But that was actually an interesting project because I did comics for it too. So you bought this capsule and you opened it up, and this is before this was like 2008, so it was before that was like a thing. Mm-hmm. But you opened it up and had an interface where I'd drawn everything, and there was a comic and artwork for every song and the whole thing. So that, and then I did most of the music for it. So that's the only recorded thing, but it's not an actual record or tape or CD. It's a capsule.
Mm. Would you ever plan on re-releasing it?
No, I don't have power over that.
Okay.
I don't hold
Gotcha.
I don't hold all that.
Gotcha.
The only thing I would do is, these 5 songs that I'm working on right now, I'm really enjoying it because I'm beefing out, these anemic demos I did a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I might release them. I might not. I don't know. But I don't know. I looked up releasing your own music, and there's just such a process. You have to open your own company and register. I don't know. I'm talking about it now, but I might just be like, oh, fuck it. I'm not going to put any of it out. I'll just send it to my 3 friends.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really for fun to get my rocks off. It reignites me. When you're doing comics, it's good to have a different creative wavelength to get into. Yeah. Because music really is it's just a different mindset, than working on something so visual. I mean, it's the opposite of visual in a way.
Yeah.
So that's why I enjoy it. It gives me a break and then strengthens me when I go back into the comics.
Hell yeah. Well, JB, what are you listening to?
I go through waves of getting really into new music and then just listening to the same shit over and over and over again.
Yeah. Same.
Oh, same. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. That's why I brought up the one album I keep going back to this year, because I'm normally just listening to old shit.
Yeah, it's it just depends on where I'm at, I guess. But lately, listeners know I constantly talk about Low Life from Sydney.
Yeah, the band rocks.
Yeah, good band. Actually, there's a lot of Australian bands that I've been getting into. Prison Affair is really good. I'm trying to think now.
Kylie Minogue.
Yes.
Love Kylie.
Actually, a friend of the show, Sam, he's based out of Sydney. He sent me over a sampler of a bunch of different Australian post-punk garage bands that are kind of making the rounds now. And I don't know what's going on in Australia, but there's a new wave.
Oh, you mean like 80s bands or in 60s?
Oh, no, contemporary, new bands that have bands that have been coming out in the last 5 or 10 years, maybe even less.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And all of it's really, really good. So if you're into post-punk,
yeah, that band Low Life is really good.
Tell me, I want to know.
If you're really into post-punk, if you're really into garage punk, if you're into any of that stuff, synth punk,
love all that stuff.
Yeah, go check them out. You might like Prison Affair. I don't know. They're it's heavily synth, very, very bare bones, bizarre. But I really dig it.
That's a cool name.
Yeah. Well, they have great music videos too. They're puppets. There's one music video they made with puppets, and it's just all over the place. It's very bizarre. It rocks. Shout out to Sam. Anyway, a lot of stuff that I revisit, like Hissing. I know they just released a new single. They're a black metal. I think they're based out of America. I'm pretty sure they are. I should probably know that.
Nice.
And then King Woman I always return to. I think they're based out of Oakland. Very good band. I don't know. It's just kind of all over the place as usual. Just kind of going through random shit that I've come across or stuff that I always replay.
Well, all over the place is real. That's how we all are. You know, I mean, I remember like growing up, everyone was like, "You're a poser if you listen to like punk and then Madonna." It's like, you're actually not. It's like, fuck you. You're actually the poser. You're posing as somebody that's only into one thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, no one's like that.
Yeah, that is weird.
I think that's weird.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, before we get out of here, Derek, where can people, find your stuff, buy your books? Are you sold out of everything from TCAF? Do you still have stuff in your store?
Yeah, I still have some stuff. I sold out of the Fabulous Topless Woman #2. I'd say the lowest quantities that are available in my store are now Fabulous Topless Woman #1 and Nights and Weekends. Those are almost gone. But you can find me on Instagram at Derek G. Marks. My website is also it's actually just derekmarks.net. And then I'm on Twitter, but I'm like Twitter shy. I don't really post that much. And that's pretty much it for me.
Hell yeah. Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah.
And
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. You're now my new favorite crunchy hippie bitch.
I'm a crunchy hippie bitch. Like, that's part of me. I'm a Gemini. There's like so many of us, really.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That'll do it for this episode. Thanks again to Derek for hopping on and talking shit. And as usual, stay gutter.
I hear those things are awfully loud.
It glides as softly as a cloud. Is there a chance the track could bend? Not on your life, my Hindu friend.
What about us brain-dead slobs?
You'll be given cushy jobs.
Were you sent here by the devil?
No, good sir, I'm on the level.
The ring came off my pudding can.
Take my penknife, my good man. I swear it's Springfield's only choice. Throw up your hands and raise your voice. Monterey. What's it called? Monterey. Once again.
Main Street's still all cracked and broken. Sorry, Mom. The mother's spoken.
Mono, don't